I think we've served this part, and we've actually kind of gotten off topic with the Twitter thing. But I want to tee you up for the second thing, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring up your second story and have you take it away with the summary.
Perfect. This is actually kind of related to what we were just talking about, and here I'm bringing up a
Here we
oh, this
go.
guy, man. Oh my God. So Mark
Let's,
Zuckerberg was recently on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he sort of gave a little breakdown, a synopsis as to what the Facebook policy was when it came to dealing with the Hunter Biden story right before the election back in November of 2020. Um, Actually, was it? Yeah, it was in November of 2020. And he talks about his visit, well, at least the FBI visiting his team, as he says, um, claiming that the Hunter Biden laptop was actually Russian propaganda. It says here the Facebook suppressed the post blockbuster revelation of Hunter Biden's infamous laptop in response to a vague FBI warning about possible Russian propaganda tied to the 2020 election, according to Hunter Mark Zuckerberg. Um, you know, it, and this is what he says. Basically, the background here is that the FBI, I think, that's very strange. I think basically came to us, some folks on our team, and was like, "Hey, just so you know, like you should be on high alert." Um, and to me, what this says to me is two things. One, uh, the the people running this platform are very much either quite dishonest or are nowhere near politically aware enough to be making the sort of decisions that they're making. This claim of Russian propaganda um, that's still going on today since 2016. It's been 8 years with absolutely no evidence. Like I don't even it makes me feel like I'm crazy. There is no evidence to be cited anywhere, only claims. And yet we continue down this path of assumption. As a matter of fact, before I even get there, we have evidence that it was faked. The person who submitted the Steele dossier, Michael Sussman, admitted to faking it. It's like it doesn't get any better than that. Yet we're still here talking about Russian propaganda, and we're still sort of going down this path of what's it called? Assumption that it was only Russians that can affect elections, and that you know the politicization of the FBI isn't something that's possible, and that's something we've talked about before as well. You I think you've mentioned it before how it drives you crazy that the left usually can't believe that the FBI possibly be corrupt, yet the police is a den of demons. It's stupefying. Um, but yeah, I I want to know what you think about this.
well, you know I'm gonna push back a little bit.
Sure, absolutely.
All right, so I'm gonna swap screens real quick, and then I'm gonna put yours back up. So I have here in the most trusted website of all time, Wikipedia, evidence that you said doesn't exist. According to an analysis by BuzzFeed, the quote 20 top performing false election stories from hoax sites and hyperpartisan blogs generated 8,711,000 shares, reactions, and comments on Facebook. In September of 2017, Facebook told congressional investigators it had discovered that hundreds of fake accounts linked to a Russian troll farm had bought $100,000 in advertisements targeting the 2016 U.S. election audience. I want to emphasize that last sentence. In September 2017, Facebook told congressional investigators it had discovered that hundreds of fake accounts, hundreds, not thousands, not tens of thousands, not even millions, hundreds
Mhm.
of fake accounts linked to a Russian troll farm had bought $100,000 in advertisements targeting the 2016 U.S. election audience. The ads, which ran between June 2015 and May 2017, primarily focused on divisive social issues. Roughly 25% were geographically targeted. Facebook has also turned over information about the Russian-related ad buys to Special Counsel Robert Mueller. And we know how credible Mueller is. Approximately 3,000 adverts were involved. So 3,000 advertisements to to to, to put
That's like a
Trump in
good
office.
afternoon.
To
That's like
put
a good
Trump in
afternoon.
office.
but
This is
and
serious. This is
also,
serious. Let me finish. And these were viewed by between 4 or 5 million Facebook users. 4 or 5 million Facebook users saw this. There
my
doesn't seem
God.
to be any indication about whether or not that swayed their votes. On November 1st, 2017, the House Intelligence Committee released a sample of Facebook ads and pages that had been financially linked to the Internet Research Agency. I'm almost done. A 2019 analysis of the Washington Post Outlook reviewed a number of troll accounts active in 2016 and 2018 and found that many resembled organic users. Rather than wholly negative and obvious, many confirmed troll accounts deployed humor. They deployed humor as a method to sway an election and were astute in exploiting questions of culture and identity and are frequently among the first to push new divisive conversations, even, quote, picked up by mainstream print media. So this is open and shut right there. There's all the evidence on Wikipedia. You
Okay.
cannot deny this. You
Oh
cannot
my.
debunk this.
Oh my
You can
God.
try, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think you're
uh,
going to be able to do a good job.
oh my God. This is like this is damning evidence, of course. And again, 3,000 adverts. I mean, I could
How
run
many
more
votes can
adverts
you
by
sway?
myself.
How
I'm
many?
like, huh?
Okay, let me try to steelman it as you debunk it. So clearly, advertisements can sway people's opinions because otherwise we wouldn't have the political ads. I'm so and so, and I approve this message. We wouldn't
Mhm,
have that during campaign season every year if they didn't work, right? So
mhm,
clearly, you can have an impact. Now we live in a social media age, and so clearly, having advertisements that are widely broadcastable via social media and the natural ways that things go viral can have similar impacts in terms of swaying opinion. So I don't want to be too tongue in cheek and make it seem like it's totally ridiculous that 3,000 ads could have a significant impact on votes. However, just because you have 3,000 ads doesn't necessarily guarantee you're gonna sway votes in the way that you want to. Okay, so with that, now. I was being tongue in cheek before. I'm trying to be level headed now. What do you say to
mhm.
that?
Uh, First off, what are those ads on? And these are these just opinions? And also, and from what I know, actually, and I've been exposed to that sort of argument before. A lot of those ads were targeting, or at least were discussing Clinton-related scandals, which we have no we have absolutely no reason to doubt that it actually happened because we actually have evidence of it and it's been investigated. Well, it's been looked at by the FBI with no charges and no consequences whatsoever. If that's if accurately like pushing the awareness of a real event is considered election interference, then I mean everything is election interference at that point. It's like that's such a low bar. It's absolutely insane. It's not like we're talking about people who are fabricating completely false stories about a candidate and doing so and disseminating it in en masse in that way. As far as
Okay.
like hundreds, like dude, if we're talking about hundreds of accounts, like one guy can probably create like 30 of them. We're talking like maybe a team of 50 people, perhaps, in one place. And even if they're Russian, does it mean that they're Russian government related? It's like there are so many other leaps that are being made that I just don't see how you can blame the Russian state with such weak evidence.
Fair. Also, it's not clear to what extent that the content of those advertisements weren't saying true things that were scandalous about Hillary Clinton versus false things. Um, I got to do my due diligence with Steel Manning, so here we go. I wouldn't deny that there were no false claims made about Hillary Clinton during that election. I think that there are false claims made by every major candidate usually by the opposition, in order to smear them, in order to sway votes away from them every election. So it's not surprising to see false things. But here's maybe one example. This is a New York Post, or excuse me, Washington Post, or article, my bad. Washington Post, WAPO. How the right embraced the false claim that Hillary Clinton spied on President Donald Trump. This was written February 18, 2022, 3 a.m. Eastern, by Glenn Kessler. So this might be a candidate for a false claim made by Hillary Clinton, that Hillary Clinton herself spied on President Donald Trump. Like she was just sitting there with her binoculars looking in his window at Mar-a-Lago or some shit. I don't know how she would do that. So this is a fact checker, and we know how accurate those are from WAPO. On February 7th, former Trump administration aide Kash Patel aired on an interview with his former boss on Epic Times TV. Former President Donald Trump predicted that there would be a lot coming from special counsel John Durham, and that Durham would fully expose Democratic efforts to tie his campaign to Russia. All of these things they say about me and Russia, it was them in Russia, Trump said. It was them in Russia. They worked with Russia. That sounds like a Trump sentence. 4 days later, in a filing that appeared in an electronic federal court record shortly before midnight, Durham made new claims about the case that explored across right-leaning media during the weekend. Coincidentally or not, the filing highlighted something that Patel knew in great detail. February 2017 meeting between the CIA and former prosecutor Michael Sussman, who was in Durham's crosshairs. Patel in 2017 was a Republican Hill aide charged with investigating Russian interference in 2016. During 2017 interview with Sussman, Patel indicated that he knew about Sussman's meeting with the CIA and questioned him closely about it. Patel did not respond to a request for comment. Dun, dun, dun. The deep in the weeds connection between his 2017 inquiries and the Durham probe reflects the usual web of Durham-focused influencers that helped drive the narrative. The latest Durham filing was a monumental bombshell. So they're downplaying this bombshell from Durham now. This is fascinating to me. The group
Incredible.
includes anonymous Twitter accounts such as one called Technofog, conservative journalists, such reporters from the Epic Times, Red State, and former administration officials such as Patel, Fox News, and Newsmax that led the charge on conservative television, often in misleading ways. Because the Durham filing was made late on Friday, the narrative pushed by this group was largely unchallenged over the weekend. Not until Monday did mainstream journalists begin to look into the filing, adding context and reporting, including responses from Sussman and other players supposedly implicated. The Sussman legal team accused Durham of making prejudicial and false allegations that are irrelevant to his motion and to the charged offense, and are plainly intended to politicize the case, inflame media coverage, and taint the jury pool. But by then, the horse was out of the barn. Dun, dun, dun. I love these articles. They're hilarious to me. I don't want to read too much because this is going to be kind of long. But the short of it is, this article smacks of downplaying what was presented by the right as a bombshell revelation that either Clinton herself or more likely affiliates associated with Clinton and Clinton's campaign spied on Trump and drummed up false stuff to paint him as some kind of like weird shill for Russia. And so they're downplaying something that actually, on second glance, actually seems to be way more plausible than they're pretending.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know that it's true. I want to be neutral somewhat because I genuinely don't know if it's true. But the idea that there was nothing false in that fucking Steele dossier, bro. That there was nothing fudged, that it was all the up and up, and that it's just undeniable and controversial proof, bro. At this point, it's just ridiculous. Like, anybody who still believes that shit is weird to me, including but not limited to, what's her name from MSNBC? What is her name? What is the famous lesbian anchor? Rachel freaking Maddow. Oh my God. But I want to hear what you have to say about this.
And I'm gonna share my screen really quick and talk a little bit about the Ukrainian interference, as a matter of fact, in that election.
The same Ukraine we gave billions of dollars to for no real reason. That Ukraine,
yeah, that one too.
That's probably just a coincidence, though. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what's it called? So here, this is an article that it's on Consortium News, but it actually came from the Gray Zone. It's actually a pretty good website for alternate views on geopolitics, for example. It says, I know I've written about this before, but I feel like I have to address it again. Seeing how just about every impeachment witness has repeated the claim that meddling by Ukrainian government officials did not happen in 2016, and that anyone who says otherwise is spreading toxic Russian propaganda. I've been dipping into the hearings every now and again, and I've seen this said over and over. It reminds me of the new age quantum mind over matter types of The Secret. Repeat the mantra as often enough and convince yourself that it's true, and it is. So I'm not going to play that video here, but I do want to kind of highlight this article from Financial Times. Um, so Sergei Lushenko, who actually went to jail in Ukraine and was convicted of what's it called, of deliberately interfering in U.S. Elections, as a matter of fact, for this. No one talks about that.
It's because it's fake news. That's
It's
why.
fake news. Um,
Fake news.
he's
No,
probably not in jail
no,
either. He
no.
was.
You're fake news. You're fake news. It's my Trump
Um,
impression.
so it says here, but Mr. Loshenko and other political actors in Kiev say they will continue their efforts to prevent a candidate who recently suggested Russia might keep Crimea, which is annexed 2 years ago, from reaching the summit of American political power. And what happened in this case here was that they released just another little example here. They released documents like not legal documents, financial records of Paul Manafort's, you know, essentially receiving payments from former President Viktor Yanukovych, who was dubbed a pro-Russian, which I don't think that label is quite accurate, as a matter of fact. Um, but Paul Manafort had been working in Ukraine for years before he became President Trump's campaign manager.
Right.
Uh, but the the release of that information was supposed to sway some sort of at least taint his campaign and his team with some sort of Russian tied, what's it called, payment scheme, some sort of corruption.
Right.
It didn't quite work out for Hillary Clinton, but these actions were seen as deliberate and for the sole objective of actually hurting Trump's chances of winning of winning in the 2016 election. And
Right.
this is something that Ukrainian courts themselves were found that there was enough evidence to convict this man. As a matter of fact, I believe the president at the time, Petro Poroshenko, was also involved. But he managed to skate out by completely throwing, what's his name, Lushenko under the bus.
Okay.
So why this is not bigger news? Who knows?
Well, maybe
You
it's
know?
because it's false. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I
I
hear
don't
I
know.
hear Lushenko was spotted at a spa a few
I heard
days
he was
later.
spotted at a Proud Boys rally. That's what I heard. He's a
Yo,
white
that's crazy.
supremacist. He's a white supremacist.
But it is
Um,
an interesting article. If anyone wants to check it out, it's on Consortium News. It says yes, the Ukraine meddled in the 2016 U.S. elections.
Ukraine would never. Okay. You sound. Oh God, you're such a bigot. I can't stand you
I
sometimes.
know, dude.
Uh, so I'm gonna show you our first chat because I accidentally went live.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So that was awkward. Can you see the chat?
I can, yeah.
Okay, so let me go ahead and show our first chat right here. It says Trump is awful, tough. To which I
Oh, no,
responded,
no.
he is pretty bad. I can't lie. And the person who did this is named Cream Pie Lars.
Yeah.
So this might be just a troll. I just wanted to show it just because, first of all, I didn't intend to go live, but secondly, since I went live, I didn't expect there, even if I went live, to be anybody who would be paying attention because I don't have like a following or anything. but some random, I guess I assume troll decided to just like diss Trump. Like that hurts my feelings. I'm like, bro, I'm not that big of a Trump fan.
Yeah,
Now, I did vote for Trump in
nobody.
2020, but I didn't vote for him because I'm like all pro MAGA. I love Trump. I voted for him because it was the biggest middle finger I could give to the left because the left seems to have lost their goddamn minds. That's why. It's the first time I've ever in my life voted for a Republican for anything.
Uh-huh.
But I like to just drop that in there, like, yeah, I voted for Trump, and motherfuckers look at me like,
They lose their
oh, like, and
mind.
I just
Oh
like I
my
love that
god.
shit. It's hilarious to me. It's like, bro, like, when did we get to the point where voting for a Republican made you evil? Like, like
Yeah.
Trump's not a
Mhm.
Saturday morning cartoon villain. Now, he's not the best politician ever for sure. I think there are a lot of, I would even say there are a lot of Republicans better than Trump. Also, I voted for him in California. There was no way Trump was going to win California, so the vote didn't matter anyway. I was this close to voting for Kanye West. I was really going to vote for Kanye. I was going to vote for Yeezus. I was like, save us,
Oh
Yeezus,
man.
save us.
Oh man.
But yeah, I just, the idea that and I live in Wokeville, USA. I live in San Francisco, so
Mhm.
voting for Republican is so taboo here that it's laughable. Like the kind, like the way people regard you as like a leper if you show any kind of
A
sympathy
leper.
towards. Yeah, I'm dead ass. Like if you show any kind of sympathy, you are treated worse if you voted Republican than if you actually have monkeypox
Wow.
in a place
Wow.
like this. I swear to God, like it's
Wow.
crazy, bro. It's crazy, and like I actually tend to vote Democrat. And I actually want to vote for Democrats again. I just want them to stop being like woke tarded. That's all I want. Like I want them to be more sensible and less radical in their policy positions. And
Yeah.
in their willingness to virtue signal.